What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's reaction video is going to be the top 25 skylines in North America by Geography King. Awesome channel. If you've never checked it out, make sure you wait to the end of this video and I will tell you to go over there. The link will be in the description. Now, I've been to New York City. The skyline is absolutely stunning. I was lucky enough to go up the One Trade Center and the Empire State Building and see it in the day and the night time and witness an absolute beautiful skyline. Now, I believe, and I'm assuming from the top 25 that there is some other magnificent skylines out there. I haven't seen them, but I am so keen to see them. On New York as well, it wasn't only the skyline, what was absolutely amazing. The architecture there was absolutely fantastic. And maybe we'll see a little bit of that as well in this video. If you enjoy this kind of video, let me know by hitting that like button, guys. I would seriously appreciate it. Let me know in the comments as well your favourite skyline is. Whether you visited it or if you want to visit, let me know your top 3. For watching this video, and maybe you can amend it once you see this video if something changes and you want to watch one. So let me know that in the comments, guys. Let's get straight into it. Let's see what the top 25 skylines are in America. And again, this is just Geography King's opinion, but it's normally a pretty solid one.
Howdy, it's Kyle counting down the top 25 skylines in North America. A skyline is a very important aspect of a city. It's often the first impression people get. So if you're just driving through a city and not really going to stop there, it might be really the only thing you get to see about it. So it might make a city look bigger or smaller than it really is. Might make a city look nicer or worse than it really is. And if you're going to fly into it, kind of lean over into the window seat as you're flying over to kind of see the downtown and how the skyscrapers look. So I think a skyline is an extremely important part of a city. And in this video, I'm going to count down the top 25 ones in North America. And of course, skylines are constantly changing. There's a ton of skyscrapers currently under construction. So, you know, what might be kind of a lame skyline right now might be a fantastic one in 10 years. And
very true.
Other cities might have the exact same skyline in 10 years. So it's going to be changing. And of course, anytime there's a countdown, there's always going to be in the eye of the beholder. So it's certainly just my opinion. But you know, I'm going to go ahead and start the countdown right now with number 25. Charlotte is a very fast-growing city. It's one of the most important financial cities in the country. It's the headquarters of Bank of America, the largest bank in the country, and that's what the tallest skyscraper there is. It's the Bank of America Tower, and for a long time, it was the only really tall skyscraper in town. It looked kind of silly because the next tallest building wasn't anywhere near as tall, but there's been other big ones built since then, so the Bank of America Tower doesn't look so lonely way up there, but the Charlotte skyline is pretty cool looking. It's the 24th largest metro area in the country.
Oh, wow.
And the 25th best skyline.
Nice.
San Diego is the 19th largest metro area in the country.
Busy.
So the skyline doesn't make it look quite as large as it really is. There aren't any super tall skyscrapers there, and the density isn't as high as some of these other cities on the list.
I tell you what, that view looks absolutely stunning, doesn't it? The palm tree there as well. I think the other view of it wasn't the best. Again, a photo can be so deceiving. Is why you kind of want to go and witness it yourself, because a photo, the right angle can completely change the perception of a skyline or something like that. The last one, I didn't comment on it, but I think it was quite a modern one. It was a growing city, like you said, and quite a modern one. That is beautiful. That image there is stunning.
But the architecture is pretty cool, and most of the buildings are pretty light colored, so it's pretty fitting for a coastal city with a lot of nice warm weather. So San Diego makes it look really cool right there along the water. So a really nice skyline, even without really tall skyscrapers. Edmonton, Alberta is the first of several surprising ones that are going to be on this list because it really isn't that big. It's only about 1 million people in the Edmonton area, so it's just not that terribly large. But you look at the skyline,
the last one so
it makes
far.
it look a lot larger than it really is. You would think Edmonton is a much bigger city than just 1 million people. Really cool high rises, nice density, good cluster there. So you just, again, like I was saying at the beginning of the video, a skyline can make a city look way bigger or smaller than it really is. So San Diego's 3 times the size of Edmonton, but you would never guess that by looking at the skylines.
Wow.
Edmonton is a really cool one. Minneapolis is another one where the skyline doesn't make it look quite as large as it really is. It's about 3.5 million people in the Twin Cities metro area. It's the 17th largest metro in the country. So, it doesn't quite look that large, but it's still a pretty cool looking skyline.
Oh,
there
that's
isn't a huge number of skyscrapers, but the ones it has are pretty tall.
They're pretty tall, and again, I love doing this video because we're on the third one. We're on the fourth one. I've got to do my math there. We're on the fourth one, and we've seen so much architecture there, so many different shapes, so many different designs. It's absolutely awesome. Especially in such a high-end engineered building where it's hard just to get it up. Never mind doing intricate designs and stuff like that. It's absolutely stunning to see. Again, I feel like a skyline, if you get a picture in the dark, it just makes it look so much better. Love this building here as well. Absolutely fantastic. Very stepped. I like Minneapolis. I didn't expect it to be on there. I don't really know what to expect, to be honest with you. But that is definitely my favorite so far.
And a lot of these flatter Midwestern cities, you're going to have like this big cluster. And then once you get outside the city, it's really flat. So
yeah,
you don't really have the need to build up so much right in the heart of downtown. So that's why it's not going to look quite as, big as it, the city really is. But, still a very nice skyline. Montreal is another one where by just looking at downtown, you might not think the city is as large as it really is. There's a law that states skyscrapers can't be taller than Mount Royal, which is the mountain that sits right next to downtown. And when you see, these photos from a higher vantage point of the skyscrapers, it's probably going to be from Mount Royal, which is a very good vantage point.
Yeah,
so I love Montreal. It's a great place to visit, and the downtown is really nice and all. But again, the city doesn't look quite as large as it really is just by looking at the skyscrapers in downtown. So cool skyline, but not one of the absolute best in North America.
So again, this is Geography King's opinion. He seems to want the bigger cities that have a very large skyline, which again would look absolutely magnificent. But let me know in the comments, what is your opinion of it? I just want to see some beautiful skyscrapers, magnificent architecture in there, crazy designs, something you've not seen before. When you look at it and go, wow, there don't have to be that many skyscrapers. If I look at it and go, wow, that's a pretty good skyline to me. Again, let me know your comments. I'm not really that bothered if it represents the population. It's just appearance. Am I going to be driving past that and am I going to look twice? That I'll glance over and be like, whoa, you know what I mean? Or am I just going to be like, okay, there's quite a lot of skyscrapers over there. Very standard blocky or something like that, you know what I mean? Again, let me know your opinions on that in the comments. But again, that middle building there is absolutely stunning.
Detroit is one that will keep going down in the rankings on a list like this through the years, as there aren't really any new skyscrapers going up in Detroit. But I do like the way you have the mix of some of the older Gothic style high rises with the the more recent Renaissance Center, which is the one that's got the cylinder surrounded by the smaller high rise there. So it's right there along the river. Probably 50 years ago, Detroit might have had one of the best absolute skylines because most of those buildings were there 50 years ago. But, again, we all know the problems with Detroit, but still has a pretty cool, nice skyline that makes the city look at least a little bit better than it might be. And Detroit's improving a little bit, but the skyline isn't really changing much.
Okay.
Calgary, Alberta, just like Edmonton a few hours north, has a downtown that makes it look a lot larger than it really is. There are only about 1.1 million people or so in the Calgary area.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that terribly large compared to some of these other cities on the list? But
that's nice.
Think so, but looking at the downtown, it's very impressive. A lot of new construction going up, and it just looks really nice. And Calgary's a very nice town. So, and I'm not sure exactly why, but for the most part, some of these Canadian cities have a more impressive looking skyline than you would expect for the size of the city. Again, I'm not really sure exactly why, but Calgary, like Edmonton, has a very nice one, even though the city isn't that terribly large.
Fair enough.
Cincinnati is another one where you'll think the city's a lot larger than it really is by looking at the downtown.
Oh, that's just beautiful, isn't it? That is just a beautiful, that is just stunning, isn't it? And again, you've got the stadium in there as well, which if you're crossing over there, you've got a bit of everything there. Absolutely love that. The Ferris wheel, I know the Ferris wheel is a part of the skyline, but you've got a bit of everything there, you have. That is very, very nice. Fair play, Cincinnati.
It's only got about 2 million people in the metro area, which makes it about the 30th largest in the U.S. But by looking at the downtown, you would think it's quite a bit larger.
Yep.
Kind of like Detroit, there's a lot of older kind of Gothic-style high-rises because it was a much more important city relative to the U.S., 50, 60 years ago.
Okay.
But you also have some pretty recent ones that have gone up as well. So I just like the juxtaposition of them. You got the nice architecture differentiations and the way things look with the density and right there along the river. So overall, I think it's just a really cool looking skyline. And again, it makes the city look a lot larger than it really is.
I have to agree.
Atlanta's skyline is a little bit disappointing because it's the 11th largest metropolitan area in the U.S. at about 5.5 million people. But the downtown doesn't make it look quite that large. And there's some really nice high rises there, some very tall skyscrapers.
Very nice ones.
It doesn't have the density, so there aren't so many of them clustered together. And what hurts the skyline a little bit is that you have kind of competing downtowns. You have the immediate downtown, but then you also have a few miles away the Midtown Buckhead area. So you have a separate cluster. So
you can definitely see that. And I know I literally said I don't want too many there, but you want to group your best buildings together. Again, I ain't got anything against the Atlanta one. I'm not too bothered about the sheer amount of buildings there. I think it was a little bit lackluster, especially compared to the Cincinnati one I just looked at. That was absolutely stunning. I feel like Cincinnati definitely should have been higher on the list. But again, it's personal preference. You guys probably think complete opposite and thinking this guy's an absolute idiot saying that, but it's all what you like. Like, yes, I'm a junior architectural technician and so far, but at the end of the day, you're doing this on what you feel when you look at it, how beautiful it is, what if you like the history there, if you like the architectural style there. You don't have to know the styles to say you like something. It's all personal preference.
If all those high rises were together in one cluster, it would look super impressive. But when they're spread out a little bit, it doesn't quite look, as nice as it should, or
I know what
doesn't
you
quite
mean.
look as big time as it is. Because Atlanta is the largest city, the largest metro area in the Southeast, and
It looks
it's
nice,
the
though.
unofficial capital of the South. So for me, it should have a better looking skyline than it does. It is a very nice one, but it doesn't quite, hold up to its 11th largest city in the U.S. standard. Miami has a skyline that's very fitting for the city. It's a very
Wow.
hot city, of course, so you have a lot of light colored buildings, and the
Yeah.
density is very nice, and most of them are hotels or condos, so they look a little bit different than
Oh,
banks
that's
or
nice.
office complex high rises. So again, very fitting for Miami.
Again, I'm not a fan of this building though. I'm really not. Again, it depends what time of day you shoot it at. I'm not a huge fan of that, and that's annoying because that's the inviting area. You're inviting into the bay. That's where the boats will be coming through. That is a standout point, and it disappoints me a little bit. But other than that, it's not the end of the world. It still looks beautiful. A lot of buildings, I like that it's white again because of the heat, which I didn't actually think about initially. Which then you've got to go, okay, credit. It's a skyline which is tapering to its surroundings, which is absolutely awesome, and its environment. So you got to say fair play to that, and they made it look beautiful.
It's kind of like San Diego, but it's a lot larger than San Diego, so you have a little more of an impressive skyline. But there are a lot more of them going up too. So you check back in 5 years, there'll be
Nice.
several more condo high rises going up in Miami. That just means more people to evacuate in the next hurricane. But yeah, Miami, really cool skyline, very fitting for the city. Los Angeles has probably the most disappointing
Oh,
skyline in the entire U.S.
yeah, what's you on about? Disappointed. That looks absolutely beautiful here. I get he's probably wanting more. I imagine he probably wants more. But that looks stunning. At least this building just catches your eye. Again, you got a few buildings in the background which catch your eye a little bit. Is he going to say that they're not grouped together? I think he's going to say for the size of the city, it's going to be a little bit disappointing that there's not that many. That's what I think he's going to say.
And that, it looks very nice, but there are 4 million people in LA, 10 million people in LA County, and almost 20 million people in the metro area. So it doesn't make it look quite that large. And of course,
Yep.
LA is much more spread out. So you don't have the need for all the vertical development right downtown. And you also have, kind of like Atlanta, there's some competing downtowns like Century City or the Warner Center, and
Okay.
suburbs like Long Beach or Glendale have a good cluster of high rises as well. So downtown Los Angeles doesn't look quite as impressive as it should. Actually, it doesn't look anywhere near as impressive as it should, but it does still look pretty cool, especially those 3 days of the year when there's no smog and you can get the mountains in the background.
I was waiting for him to stop talking because I wanted to mention that. I was like, whatever you think about Skyline, if you're driving past at this angle, if you're seeing this angle, then the mountains are part of the skyline. They are part of it. I know it's not man-made, but it's part of it to me, and that is beautiful. And that's something you can't build, you can't buy. That is absolutely stunning, man. And that would be very high on my list, mainly because of the landscaping. Wow, man.
Houston is the 4th largest city in the
Okay.
U.S. with over 2 million people, and there are about 6 million people in the metro area, so it's a huge city. But the downtown doesn't make it look quite as large as it really is, so you don't have as many condos or living kind of high rises right downtown.
That's
like
nice,
you have
though.
in a lot of other cities. Most of them are, office complexes. And kind of like LA and Atlanta, you have a secondary cluster of high rises not too far from downtown. But in Houston's case, it's the Houston Medical Center. So that's kind of unique in that, a secondary cluster of high rises is all medical stuff. But
Oh, wow.
you do have some more condo and living kind of high rises going up as more people want to move closer to downtown. But for right now, Houston doesn't look quite as large as it really is, but it is still a pretty cool looking skyline. Denver is the 14th largest metro area in the U.S. with about 4 million people. So the skyline
Wow.
makes it look right about where it is in terms of its size. And
Yeah.
of course, a lot of these ones out west, you can make it look a lot nicer by framing it with the mountains in the background. But I like some of the architecture as well, and just the density of the high rises. So you got that one that's like the most iconic one where it looks like it would be rounded at the top, but it was chopped off. And you
Yeah, that is very nice. Again, a very unique kind of finish to the top. The mountains in the background obviously help it. I don't want to be mountainish, but they don't look as nice as the California mountains. They just don't. Again, I feel like I liked the mountains with just a white on top, not really the elevation changes. I like the California ones, but still very, very nice. Again, like you said, very unique. Pretty standard. Very nice though. high on the list. I completely agree.
We also have a lot of new high rises going up. So Denver is one of the cities where you have a lot of a bit of a building boom going on. So this will be a much different looking skyline in 5-10 years, but even right now, it is still very impressive.
I'm keen to see.
Dallas, kind of like Houston, has a skyline that undermines the size of the city. They're approaching 6.5 million people in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, but
who cares is what you should say, because that is beautiful. Just talking about this building here, stunning. I'm lost for words almost. That is absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning architecture. Even this one, very unique, stunning. And then you got these in the background as well. That is beautiful. I don't care how big it is. For me, Dallas is the top right now. Screw the mountains. Dallas is the top for me right now.
The downtown doesn't make it look quite that large, but it is still a pretty cool looking skyline. I like the way the buildings light up, and that's also a very important thing too. Not just the architecture, but also the lighting. And you got the very iconic God's microphone, and that's not me calling it that. That's what they call it. So it's kind of silly looking, but I do like occasional silly looking something like that. So it's a very nice looking skyline. But of course, Dallas has to compete with Fort Worth in terms of its overall skyline. So if you were to have all the high rises of downtown and Fort Worth combined into one major downtown, it would look a lot nicer. But still very nice, but with it being the 6th largest metro in the U.S., doesn't quite look that large.
Okay.
Boston doesn't have a large number of super tall skyscrapers, but it makes up for it with the density and the juxtaposition of the different architectural styles. So I just like some of the differences in how some of these buildings look and how they're clustered and right there along the waterfront. This makes it look really cool. So you got some older ones and some newer ones. So I just think the overall look of the Boston skyline is really great.
Very true.
Philadelphia has a really nice mix of architectural styles that makes up its skyline. Back when skyscrapers were all the hot new rays, it was one of the first cities in the country to start getting them. So you have a lot of really old looking skyscrapers, and you got some of those Cold War era ugly looking bricks, and you got the tallest ones in the city are more recent construction. So just a really nice mix of the 3 different eras, and just very tightly packed, good density to it. And you got the Independence National Park right there. So it's a really cool mix of the old and new right downtown. So pretty cool skyscrapers that make the city look as big as it really is.
Well, again, for me right now, that looks absolutely stunning. Fantastic photography as well with the sky like that. Dallas is winning it for me. I know he's talking about he obviously likes the skyscrapers to match how big the city is. So he wants a lot of them if it's a big city. Doesn't mind if it's not a big city, which again, like I've said, I'm not too bothered about, but it's personal preference. But for me, Dallas, one of them skylines, it just hits you and you're just amazed by it. I'm amazed by the others, and I love the different architectural styles and stuff like that. But if you're driving past, you're not really going to be notice that from afar or something like that. It's beautiful when you get in the city. It's magnificent, but to catch your eye, Dallas will be the one for me again with the lights on the building and stuff like that. It is just beautiful. That's number 1 for me so far. I feel like New York's probably going to be number 1 on this list, and I probably end up agreeing because I've seen all the architecture there and I loved it. But Dallas is up there right now.
Of all the cities in the U.S., Seattle is the one that's currently building the most skyscrapers. There's a huge building boom going on right downtown.
Nice.
Most of the new high-rises are housing or condo-style high-rises. There are also some office complexes as well, but there's a ton of people moving to Seattle, moving to downtown
Look at
Seattle,
that, man.
and just making the city a lot larger. It's the 13th largest metro area in the country with over 4.5 million people. It's just huge and growing. And the downtown looks really nice, and you have the rolling hills in the city, and it's really green. And of course, you can frame it with Mount Rainier in the background, and you have the Space Needle there. It's just overall a very cool looking skyline that's only going to get a lot nicer and more impressive through the years. Honolulu,
I'm keen to see it.
A lot of Americans forget about because it's way out there in Hawaii. And I know the Hawaii is not part of North America, but it is part of the U.S. So I'm going to include it on this list. And the skyline is very impressive. Makes it look a lot larger than it really is. There's only about 950,000 people on the entire island of Oahu. So you look at the downtown, the skyline makes it look a lot larger. And you have
I feel like a lot of them are hotels though. It may say that, but surely a lot of this is hospitality and stuff like that, people visiting the island. Because it's not a very big island, and there's a lot of buildings there. I think most of it is hospitality, surely.
2 different clusters of high-rises. You have the actual downtown, because it is a real city after all. You have the state government stuff, and there's some financial insurance things going on. There's a large military presence, so there's a lot of normal things going on in Honolulu. But where most of the high-rises are in the Waikiki area, where you have mostly hotels and condos right there along the beach. So this looks really cool. You got the ocean right there. In the background, you got the rolling hills and the greenery and the crater. So just a lot of really cool things to make the skyline look a lot nicer than cities that are much larger than Honolulu. by far the most ridiculous skyline in North America, if not the entire world, is Las Vegas. I mean, this is just pure insanity, especially at night when it's all lit up. I mean, you just
Yep.
have all this ridiculous architecture. You've got a mock-up of the Manhattan skyline. You've got a medieval castle. You've got
Wow,
one that's just
man.
all gold windows. You have a fake Eiffel Tower. You have a giant pyramid. I mean, it's just completely stupid.
Yeah, Las Vegas is Las Vegas. I want to go there eventually. Hopefully, I'll get to witness this eventually. I don't think we can say much more on it. Las Vegas, it's Las Vegas, isn't it?
They're always being torn down. There's other ones being built, and the next one's going to be more ridiculous than the previous one. You have a Space Needle looking thing. I mean, it's just whatever kind of
Wow,
ridiculousness
man.
you can come up with, it's going to be in Las Vegas. But at the
Yep.
same time, it's pretty cool looking and very iconic, of course. And especially at night. During the daytime, it looks okay, but at nighttime is when it really shines, literally. But I don't know. I think it's really cool looking, and it is definitely one of the better skylines in the U.S., even though it is obviously for different reasons than these other cities on this list.
Yep.
San Francisco is a city that, due to its geography, can only grow vertically. I mean, there's
Oh,
nowhere for
wow.
it to grow horizontally. It has to grow up. So, you have several new high-rises that are being built. For the longest time, the Pyramid, which is the most iconic high-rise downtown, was the tallest
Oh,
one, although there is one that surpassed it since, and there are some other new ones that are going up. So you have kind of a building boom in San Francisco. And again, it has to be high-rises because you just can't grow horizontally. So
fair enough.
you're going to see more of a vertical change in the
Very
city.
nice,
And
though.
with the rolling hills around there and the bridges and the bay, you can frame it and look really cool. So no matter which angle you take it from, it's just a really nice looking downtown. And of course, there's that really
Oh,
iconic
man.
photo where you're just across the north end of the Golden Gate Bridge. You can see the downtown from there. So it's a beautiful skyline, easily one of the best in North America.
Definitely,
If
man.
you've seen some of my other videos, you know how much I love Pittsburgh's skyline. It's just a really cool look to it. And it's the geography that causes it to be like that because you have it all on that point at the confluence of the river. So the downtown is kind of squeezed onto this little piece of land. So it
And that's why Geography King loves it, which again is no issue at all. He loves them all squeezed together, tied together, in your face, bam. This is the skyline. We're not spread out. This is it. This is what you've come to see, which is fair enough. This looks absolutely mental. Something like like a castle in the sky. It really does. A very glazed one as well. It looks like glazing from here anyway. Beautiful. I've got to agree. Absolutely beautiful with a point there as well. This is the center point of the city. And you know it. There's no question about it. The bridges look very nice as well. Fair play. I do like that.
kind of had to grow vertically. It just looks really cool. And there are mountains surrounding it. So you can get up onto these vantage points like Mount Washington and just get some really cool shots of it. And when you drive into it from
Nice.
any direction, it just looks so nice. So even though it's only the 23rd largest metro area in the country, it just looks a lot bigger than it really is. So
Yep.
I just love it. It's one of the best skylines in the U.S. Another city whose skyline is dictated by its geography is Vancouver. And
That's
this is just
big.
a fantastic cluster of tightly packed skyscrapers right downtown, on this little tiny piece of land surrounded by water, so it has to grow vertically.
Wow,
Most of
man.
them are condos and housing type things, but there are also some office complexes and government stuff as well. But it just looks so cool. It's so unique. There's nothing
Yep.
else quite like this in North America. I mean, it's fantastic. So it's one of my favorite cities on all of North America. So it's the third largest city in Canada. It's about 2.3 million people total. So it'd be, about 22nd, 23rd largest metro area in the U.S. But
Okay.
it's just a great, wonderful, really iconic, really unique downtown. Easily one of the best skylines in North America.
Oh, I completely agree. I mean, I'd never seen it before. It looks stunning. Again, the whole island vibes, the lake around it, a cluster. In this case, I do agree the cluster definitely helps because it's on an island. Fair play. Fair play, Vancouver, man.
At number 3 is
Toronto.
Toronto. It's the largest
Okay.
city in Canada with about 5 million people, and the skyline makes it look even bigger than that. You, of course, have the CN Tower there, the nice waterfront area, and there are more skyscrapers under construction in Toronto than just about anywhere else on the planet. There are just
Wow.
like
Wow,
30 or
man.
so skyscrapers currently being built.
They're going
And
for
right
it.
now, Toronto's undergoing a huge change in which they're just building so much condo and housing type high rises right downtown that people are just all flocking there. And I think the intent is to make it much more of a Manhattan style downtown where everything
Okay.
is walking and biking and less people moving way out in the suburbs and driving 1 hour into town for work. So
Wow, that is a computerized rendition of the future skyline of what has been built. That is very, very jam-packed. Very jam-packed. Geography King absolutely loves that then. Again, very, very nice. Some Again, it's just different architectural styles, different buildings, all standing out. You haven't just got one standing out. You've got so many different aspects where you can see them stand out, which is absolutely awesome.
It's undergoing a huge change. So kind of like Seattle, if I were to do this video in 10 years, it might be the best skyline on the planet. Who knows? But
Wow.
there's so much growth going on there. I mean, it's great. It already looks really cool, and it's only going to get a lot better.
Yeah.
The second best skyline in North America is Chicago.
Okay.
And as great as Toronto's is, Chicago's dwarfs it. Of course, like I was saying, Toronto's growing a lot more, so in 10 years it might be different. But for right now, Chicago is leaps and bounds ahead of Toronto
Very
in terms
nice.
of the skyline, and way, way ahead of anywhere else previously mentioned on this list. It's just crazy.
So we know New York's going to be number one. I've been there. The architecture there in all the buildings throughout downtown and uptown is magnificent. Chicago as well, man. I've never been there. I haven't really seen much about it, but it looks stunning. It looks very stunning.
And it's not just the huge number of skyscrapers, and there are a ton of them. And it's not just the density,
Wow,
because
man.
they are super tightly packed, but it's also just how tall they are. These are just so much taller than the other skyscrapers in some of these other cities. And of course, we all know the Willis Tower, which was previously the Sears Tower, but there are so many of them, other ones that are just super, super tall. So
Yep.
it's great. And they're still building a lot more as well. And the first time I visited Chicago, I had already been to almost all the other major cities in the U.S., and I was like, all right, whatever, it's going to be another big city. But I was like, holy crap, this just looks
beautiful.
so much bigger than all the other ones. Fantastic downtown, wonderful skyline. And you will never guess what number one is. What is the best skyline in North America? It's, of course, Des Moines. With the vast sea of flat prairie, you can see
he's definitely joking us, surely. He's having us on, surely.
Background, nothing comes even close to this. Okay, obviously it's New York City. This is not debatable.
Yeah.
This is the most fantastic skyline in the entire Western Hemisphere, perhaps even the world. Right now, China and some of the Southeast Asian biggest cities are, building these incredible skyscrapers, but I think still right now Manhattan's the king. And just like Chicago is leaps and bounds ahead of everything else right now, Manhattan is leaps and bounds ahead of Chicago. This is just completely insane. And I hadn't visited New York until after I visited Chicago, so I knew it was going to be a lot bigger, but I was like, holy crap, this is so, so much bigger. It's complete insanity in terms of high rises. So I've been to all of the major cities in the U.S. except for Boston, and it's incredible just how much bigger it is than all the other ones in terms of its skyline and downtown. And
I've been there. This is the Trump Tower, if we're looking at the right side, which I know about. I think we are, yeah. So that's the Trump Tower there, isn't it? And you got a little a shopping mall to the left of it. And I said mall for Americans. I believe so, because I've been there. But I just want to say, I'm only going to be disappointed in the future, for Skylines at least, because the way he's describing it, he went there last, and he still was blown away. Nobody's going to be able to compare to it for me. But yeah, absolutely stunning, man. Absolutely stunning.
As terms of people go in the metro area, it's not much larger than Los Angeles, but because everything in Manhattan is just vertical, it just goes straight up, and everything in LA goes out. So Manhattan makes New York look 10 times larger than LA, even though they're about the same size. So if you haven't been to New York, but you've been to other major cities, you will be surprised at just how much bigger New York seems and all the other. I mean, it is bigger, but just how much more bigger it looks, and even
incredible,
than you were expecting. So wonderful skyline, beautiful. You have, of course, the iconic Empire State Building. You have the all-new World Trade Center. And there's a lot of these pencil-thin high-rises going up. There's not a square foot of land available in Manhattan. So all they can do are these pencil-thin high-rises. Yep. I'm not sure how that'll hold up in a huge windstorm. I wouldn't want to be on the 100th floor of that thing when there's a Category 1 hurricane blowing through. But that's what they're doing right now. An incredible skyline. Do yourself a favor. At some point in your life, walk around Manhattan. It is fantastic.
Definitely.
Skylines are very important to your city. Again, it's a big first impression people are going to get. The only thing that concerns me a little bit about these North American skylines is that they're not really keeping up with some of these East and Southeast Asian ones. So you look at Tokyo and Shanghai and Hong Kong and Singapore. And of course, you got Dubai and these ridiculous ones here. But, much more unique architecture. I think they're taking a little more care into, how it looks overall, because it really is so important.
It is.
And there isn't quite, at least seemingly, there isn't quite as much, architectural ingenuity going on with some of the stuff in the U.S. Some of these new buildings are kind of boring looking. So I like some of the not super crazy looking stuff like you get in, again, Dubai. But, I think some of the stuff could look a lot better than it does. I think some of the cities could use a new a new really interesting skyscraper to make the
Definitely.
downtown look a little bit
Yeah.
nicer.
Oh, man.
But overall, we have
Look
some
at that.
fantastic cities in North America. Although I do feel we're kind of falling behind a little bit to some of these East Asian cities. So come on, architects, let's come up with some good stuff to make some new skyscrapers, to make downtowns look even better than they already do. All right, and lastly, the housekeeping here. If you like this video,
there you go, about housekeeping. If you like this video, make sure you smash that like button. I will be. I've so enjoyed this. Just what you were saying there, though. Yeah, I agree. That's why I like Dallas so much, because it kind of looked like a combined thing. Very bright, very vibrant. It gets your attention. It looks magnificent. Unique stuff all over, not just the same old copy and pasted. Still so impressive, though. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments, guys. I'd really appreciate that. If you're new around here and you've made it this far, you really should hit that subscribe button. Like, I don't know why you're still watching if you don't want to hit that subscribe button. So hit it. Why not? It's that red thing. It'll make you happy. Put a smile on your face. Put a smile on my face. And I'd really appreciate it. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. I hope you do. I really, really do. I'll have a fantastic night. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.